Welcome to Pocket Watch Podcast. I'm Zach,
Cruz,
Jake, and we're fucking Pocket Watch Podcast.
Yes, sir. Laugh at us or learn with us. We're here to grow.
And growing, we're fucking doing, man. Welcome to Pocket Watch Podcast. I'm Zach.
Cruz.
I'm Morgan Gallo.
I know y'all heard the switch up. We do got another guest for you guys, like always.
That's right. It's Morgan Gallo. Gallo'S, unless it's Gallo if you're from Kissimmee.
Just
Gallo.
Don't pull that Puerto Rican shit out of your back pocket, dude. Don't do that.
Morgan Gallo, comedian, amazing comedian. Go check her shit out. It's all below. Check her YouTube out. I subscribed 4 months ago. This is a cool moment for us, guys. Just so you know, I've been a fan. Found out that this was a possibility, and look where we're at, guys.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
I'm so excited.
Cruz is really excited to have you on.
Yes, I am.
Should I be like creeped
Zach,
out?
No, not like that. But he was just like. He's like, oh my God, I finally got this girl, bro. I've been trying to get her on. She's an awesome comedian. This is so dope. Because
that's nice.
He loves like stand up. Like he's even done stand up himself sometimes, like a couple times.
But
he's done it a couple of times. But like, so he loves comedy. He listens to it all the time.
We're all big fucking fans, Zach. Anyways, let's fight about it, pod. Right?
Yep. Let's Fight About It podcast. Morgan Gallo comedy on everything. That's my jam.
It's a good follow. Check it out. XYZ. We're super excited to have you here.
Thank
as Zach
you.
said. fresh from Austin, huh?
Yeah, I came back from Austin like 3 days ago.
Okay. Where are the places you've done stand up? Cuz I want you to know we had Kev Comedy on. He's a awesome comedian.
Kevin Dean?
Kevin Dean.
Yeah, I know Kevin.
We had Kevin Dean
Yeah.
on. He's great, but he's doing so much more since the last time we've had us on, so we haven't had a chance to like talk to him about it.
Yeah, that's great.
So you are for sure the most seasoned comedian we've had on the podcast.
Oh, thank you.
Oh
That's nice
man,
of you
shots
to
at
say.
Kevin.
No, and well, that's how it stands. He would say the same thing for back when he was on. That was
back when he was on.
So,
for sure,
anyways, what different places have you done comedy?
I'm still like building my I guess career a little bit. So I mean, obviously like all over Florida, like throughout the Panhandle and South Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, Columbus, Georgia, Nashville, Chattanooga, New York. Just got done doing shows in Houston and Austin. I've done Denver. I've done Colorado Springs. I've done Sacramento, San Diego, randomly Cleveland and Akron, Ohio.
How was Cleveland?
It was sick.
I bet you, yeah.
It was great. I mean, I was there for a comedy festival, and it was like one of the best festivals I've done. It was great.
Performing at a comedy festival. Is it like really open spaced at a festival?
No, it's actually like really condensed. So usually it's like 3-4 days, and there's anywhere between like 30 to 50 comics that, you know, you submit, you wait a few months, they go through the tapes, they select 30 to 50 people out of however many people submit, and then throughout the weekend you do like a bunch of shows, sometimes like 2 or 3 shows a day.
Holy
and then
cap.
sometimes it's a contest, sometimes it's just a festival where it's kind of there, like you're there to mingle, network, get to know like bookers, producers. Sometimes there's panels where, you know, higher up comedians talk to you about how to be good on the road, how to become a headliner, how to get booked, that kind of thing. So it's really fun.
It's almost like a comedy conference. It sounds like almost.
I mean,
Holy
yeah,
shit.
that's pretty much what it is,
That's
except
pretty
the
cool.
fact that you get to like
actually perform.
be a dumbass on stage. It's great.
That's pretty cool.
You're actually like around those that made the cut when they look through the footage,
Right.
And you're
Yeah.
performing to people. Not, you know, I mean,
Most of the time. I will say there are some festivals where they book like a 1 p.m. show, and you're like, why am I here?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's like 10 people in the crowd. Everyone's drinking a White Claw. What's happening?
Cruz would be in the crowd with the White Claw.
that's a different skill. I'd be like, hey guys, Morgan's on. I'm coming up.
I got my mango White Claw. Let's book it up.
You know what's funny is he had like a box of White Claws in here like last week. I think the last episode we just dropped.
Oh yeah, easy. So you stereotype me very well.
Oh my god. Why are you wearing sunglasses?
I wish you would have asked me that So,
Explain it.
at first, I did it because I get pretty like drunk. Not drunk,
On
but
the
I get pretty
podcast?
lit on the podcast, and I saw a couple clips, and my eyes were just like, I looked like,
Oh, so you're insecure.
no, I got
No,
people,
he's professional.
I got people from work that watch this and stuff. I'm a
he's-
loser.
Oh, so the sunglasses are gonna hide the blue moon in your hand?
No, that's okay.
I love how she's calling your ass out, bro.
It's like,
okay.
I don't understand.
You can't tell me how many I've had if I have one, except
But
when
by
we
the
have
end
a
of the
case
podcast,
on.
and he's like, I can't. What are you doing later? Like that's you can't tell how many you've had.
The good thing is like you're not really much of a slur. Now Jacob is the slur.
And the other thing is, for some reason, I felt like I liked the clips that we had when I had this.
He thinks he looks cool with the sunglasses. He thinks he's a cool guy. Do you agree with
Oh,
that?
he took them off because he feels bad. Keep them on. It's your fucking podcast, man. Stand your ground. Hold your blue moon high. Hold it to the fucking stars.
Anyways,
she called Cruz out, made him take
look,
the sunglasses
I
off.
don't fucking care. I just liked it. It's okay. It's the beginning. We have a beginning and a transition. That's literally a thumbnail when Morgan makes Cruz takes his glasses off. Not the thumbnail, timestamp. Anyways, so you're building up your career. You performed fucking all over the United States. I love how
Sounds
you
like it, but like
you
not
prephased
really.
it.
Do you know what I mean? 'Cause,
Yeah.
like there are comedians that literally go on tour. Like I'm not a touring comic. I'm just very lucky to have the opportunities I have.
You
to
are
go places.
very much doing. So you've been doing comedy for 2 years now.
2.5. Yeah,
2.5 years, and from Colorado.
I'm from Colorado, but I did not start comedy until I moved to Florida. So I'm very much a Florida comedian.
You were born in Colorado?
No, actually, I was
Oh.
born in Miami. It's a
Okay.
very
I was born in Colorado. I was gonna say.
really where?
I was born in Loveland.
Oh, really?
Yep. I was
Did you
born
like
in-
grow up there a little bit or no?
No, not really. I moved when I was like 5 over to Florida.
Okay, so I was the opposite. I was born in Miami. When I was 3, my parents were like, let's get out of here. We're going to go to
Okay.
Colorado. Raised in Colorado. They retired back to Florida. I followed them. I've been here for 5 years, and now I'm like, I'm going back.
My older sister lives over in Aurora still though.
Oh, cool. Yeah. That's like, the Denver area, Denver
Yeah.
metro area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But
Like,
my point was, 2.5 years in, when you came down and you started doing comedy, you were very much doing everything you wanted to be doing at that time,
absolutely.
right? If
Yeah.
not, like way more. How many people think about starting comedy and then like
Yeah.
you hit this brick wall, or like you find out you're not good, or you're good, or you're good, right?
Well, that's always fixable, though.
Yeah.
Like, you
Well,
can always
like
get
that,
better.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, everyone sucks when they first start out.
Yes.
No one, like, hits the mic and is, like, a superstar. You know what I mean? You have to work at it.
Yes, 1,000%. But then,
Yeah.
how many good ones do you know that like don't, like
Yeah, that
get
don't move forward.
that don't move forward or can't move forward, and
Yeah.
partly for their own reasons or whatever, like the social media side of things. There's all of that, but you're very much doing everything you wanted to do when you started, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, there's always like the critic in my head that's like, I could be doing more. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And especially right now, I'm in this place where I'm like, I need to like expand. I need to go, and I need to like do bigger and better things. But yeah, I'm like, I have a really hard time. Like when I get my mind on something, I have a really hard time not doing it. So when I started comedy, I immediately found out, like, what do I need to do to advance and get better? And I just started doing it. Like, I just wasn't scared. I don't know.
what made you start comedy? Where were you like,
So
I'm trying to figure shit out? Let's
So
do
I was
comedy.
working out of college, and I was doing social media for college. The pandemic hit. We were sent home. We were working from home. I was FaceTiming one of my friends, and I was making him laugh. And he was like, have you ever thought about doing stand-up comedy? And I was like, honestly, no. And then I started talking to my friend who lives in LA about it. And she was like, oh, yeah, my friend just took a comedy class and she got to do a little performance at the end. Like, maybe you should do that. And I was like, there's no way that something like that exists in Florida. And at the time I was living in St. Augustine. So I was like, there's
Right.
no way that exists. And I ended up literally like just Googling stand-up comedy classes near me. I took a class. I learned how to write jokes. I started going to open mics and meeting other comics, and it kind of just snowballed from there.
That's pretty cool. So you actually took a class before actually going to do stand up.
Yeah, I was too scared to just like go to a mic and just like talk for 5 minutes. I wanted to know like what do I need to do? You know what I mean? Because I think people think that comedy is just talking, but it's not. Like you have to write a joke.
Yeah, people don't understand like sitting in a room with a bunch of people and making everybody laugh is a way different situation than getting up on the stage.
It's so contextual. It's so fun to be the class clown. It's another skill set to be able to transfer that on stage.
Yeah, no one does. That's interesting though because like we've had two other comedians. We had like Frankie Ryan, which is pretty like super early in his career. He does more. It's like he does more like hosting events.
Yeah,
now.
I've worked with him like once before. We did a show. We did like some really shitty show like right outside of Disney World at like a bar. Like it was the worst. But he was really dope. He was cool. Yeah.
So we had him on and we've had Kevin on, and it seems like obviously he kind of like had Kevin as like his mentor, and he was saying like whenever people were talking to Kevin about like becoming a comedian, Kevin was like, come to open mic night, whatever, immediately, just come right now.
Yeah, you have to.
And then it's just like, oh shit, but like you kind of got to take a little bit of a class, kind of got like a little bit more of an understanding, more of a grasp on it than like how like they recommend doing it. That's interesting though.
And from the roots too, like right at the beginning before you go out and maybe have a bad experience or something that might, I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you bombed?
Oh my God, yes.
I was gonna say everybody's bombed.
I bombed last week. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Really? It happens all the time.
Some jokes just don't hit certain rooms and shit like that, you know.
Well, it's that, and also like it could be the audience, it could be the time of day, it could be maybe the person before you just said something really crazy, and like it's obviously like you can always be better. Like you shouldn't always blame your environment, but sometimes like the environment has a big play in how your set goes.
That's
okay. That's just comedy.
Yeah, 1,000%. I've only done like I am such a fan, right, of comedy that I forced myself to do some open mics. I've only done 2 open mics, right?
Where'd you do them?
I did one at Brews and Blues when Kevin.
Oh yeah.
And Kevin was the host or whatever. That was super fun. And I was spoiled. That was my first time. I did pretty good. And like there was people in the crowd and stuff like that. So like it was a great host, right? Like,
right. Yeah, you have someone that's like seasoned and they know what they're doing.
And like
that's awesome.
Literally doing his bits in the middle in transition of like comics, which is amazing. And then I did like 2 weeks ago I did Bitters and Bottles, which some nights I'm sure is fine or whatever, but oh my God, I was like,
I haven't done that one. Yeah,
it's not much of a stage. It's pretty much you're talking to people at a bar or whatever.
Yeah,
but it was like I was like, okay, good. I got to practice. Like I left that place thinking I got to try some jokes.
Yeah,
where there's like 2 people really paying attention or like one person.
Yeah. Showbiz, baby. Like, that's what it is,
and it was so lame too.
Sometimes it's just like you're like at a like you're just telling jokes, but it's like you're really just doing a TED talk.
Yeah.
To like some like grandma. You know what I mean? You're just like, I'm sorry, you're here right now.
Yeah, and you hear that lonely clap.
1,000%.
An empty room.
Haunts my nightmares.
So what has been some of your best experiences on some of those, like doing comedy in some of those states?
Oh man, there's so many. I mean, I think the best experiences are always when everyone on the show is like really just like stoked to be there, because like being among your people, among other comics that also love comedy and like want to take it seriously. It's always really fun to be around those people. I've really enjoyed honestly like touring Florida and like just getting to know like the people in Florida and like doing the improvs and like opening for people like Jeff Ross. Like he's fucking great. And like just meeting someone that's like so famous but also so humble and just so chill and is so like in the mindset of like I'm still working, you know what I mean? They're not settled in their career. And then, like some of the festivals I've done, Cleveland was really fun. I did a really great one, Big Pine in San Diego, which was really fun. It's hard to like narrow down.
That's interesting too, because I always hear from certain comics I know and some that I listen to on podcasts and stuff like that. Just like the environment around like a bunch of comics, like it's kind of like a toxic environment is from what I've
heard. It can
heard.
be for sure. I mean, I feel like that's like that with
when you're
any...
around the same, right? Like they talk about a bunch of rappers together or something.
Right.
You're not really giving good criticism or whatever the case is unless you're with the right people.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting that, you know, for the most part, you've had like good experiences.
Oh, well, don't get me wrong. I mean, there have been some very like awful experiences I've had with other comedians, but I recognize that it has like most of the time it has nothing to do with me, and it has everything to do with the way they feel about themselves.
For sure.
Which I think is just life in general. Like it's not even specific to comedy. You know what I mean? You could be like that when you're on a sports team, or among a group of friends or family member. Like it's always like. I think it's difficult in comedy because everyone thinks that since you're a comedian, you're supposed to be on all the time. Yeah. You're supposed to be funny all the time. You're not supposed to be sensitive. But let me tell you this. Comics are some of the most sensitive motherfuckers I've ever met in my life. Me included. Yep. I can't look at hate comments because I'll cry. Like, we are very sensitive people. That's why we do the shit we do. It doesn't make sense.
Yep.
That's funny. We just started getting... hate comments online lately.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, we're fucking doing good. We're doing fucking good right now.
Just like any motherfucker with a mic these days. Some of them are pretty funny.
Yeah.
Like anything that we're saying.
Some guy was like, anybody with two mics, two stands, or something like that. And then it was like, makes a podcast, and Cruz goes 4 mics. He's like, he was like asterisk him 4 mics, and the guy was
also,
like, ooh.
That dude probably doesn't have a podcast. He probably wishes he does.
No, he has, he makes like little like gaming YouTube videos and stuff like that.
Okay, so he's fucking stomping in the same shit he's doing. Like that's so dumb.
It was funny though. I was like, yes, we're getting hate comments. That means we're doing something
honestly,
now.
Yeah. Honestly,
how many female comedians do you run into? Like
in life or in Florida?
Like
it's very different answers.
Oh, really?
Like, Florida, not so much. I mean, there are a handful of Florida female comedians that I know and love, and we all kind of know each other. And then outside, there's way more female comedians in other scenes that are a little more like supportive of female comics, for sure.
Really?
That's interesting. Do you think it's like a lack of support in Florida for female comic?
I don't know. Maybe support's the wrong word. No, I think it's just like when you are in a state that like...
Are Spanish girls not funny? Is that what you're trying to say?
Ooh, I don't think I've met any Spanish female comics.
This is the thing, bro.
Funny.
When she said that, my first thought, I don't even know if it's as much as the crowd, because I'm sure you kill in Florida crowds, right? So
sometimes.
right, on average, whatever the case is, you kill as much as any male comic. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really, if it's good, it's good. I don't think that people in the crowd are like, fuck this bitch, there's a girl on here. As much in Florida, as much as what is our population and how many people are going to be around here.
I think it has to do with like the demographic of the state that you're in, because like I've had really great shows in Florida, and I've had really bad shows in Florida, and that's the same with every state. Like I think I've just noticed as a female comic, and this is not like, I don't know what this really means, but I've just noticed that in other states that are a little more like blue or liberal leaning, there's a lot more female comics. And I don't know if that's really anything to do with the scene, or if it's just the comfortability that women have going out and doing open mics. You know what I mean by that?
It might be like the whole woman empowerment type of thing too.
I don't, but like...
Yeah, because I think too, like, I mean, like, you could ask any female comic and they'll have, similar stories about their struggle in comedy or whatever it is. And a lot of the time it's just like, we just want to be comics too. We don't want to be female comics.
I know.
Like, we don't want to be women in the scene, but a lot of times, like, we're told that we're that, or I can't tell you how many times I've been introduced as like, this next girl's really cute, you're gonna love her, she's looking super hot tonight, right? That kind of shit.
That's
Whereas
stupid.
the dude is like, this dude's a fucking murderer, you're gonna love him, he's so funny, give it up for fucking Brad. You know what I mean?
I agree with that. I agree. Don't sexualize none of the introductions just because it's a female comic. That's fucking stupid, right? Like, the way we introduced you was probably one of the best introductions we've done for a guest. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I totally agree with that. But I also feel like as long as it is right now, female comics are a minority in the scene. You know what I mean?
Sure,
so as long as that exists, I hope it doesn't come off as much as like female comic or whatever, as much as it's like propping, because I don't know girls that can do it, right? Like, I'm sorry, you know, like, it's like on average you'll see a lot of comics that could talk some shit, and it's mainly just a guy that could talk good shit, right? The greats are the greats. That's a different story. But like, you know, like you're talking about open mics and like, you know, shows.
It's a really intimidating environment. I mean, you felt that way just going in as a dude, you know what I mean? So like, it can be really intimidating, you know, if you're a young woman and maybe you don't like know how you're supposed to act or what you're supposed to say. Like, you feel like you have to pretend like you're one of the guys, which can sometimes be a really uncomfortable like thing to kind of meld into.
You also
know what I
have
mean?
to not give a fuck about what people think.
Exactly.
And there's probably more guys, right? And you can see it, you know it.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't always a proud thing. You know, there's more guys that don't wash their ass, but you know,
because they think it's gay.
No. Shaving.
Wait, guys really think that?
No.
Have you not seen those fucking? There's like TikToks where like dudes are like, yeah, you can't wash between your cheeks, my guy. That's fucking gay behavior. And it's like, yo, hygiene is gay now?
No.
Whoa,
That's so
I've never even
embarrassing.
heard of that. That's funny.
No.
It's like TikTok like exposes the depths of society.
That is
convinced. 'Cause
crazy.
No one would ever think that person exists, but they do, and we know that now because of the internet.
I recently
Yeah.
found out, I'm not going to put nobody on blast, but I recently found out that I have a friend that doesn't brush their teeth at night.
Jeremy. No,
Fucking
what if that was
Jeremy?
his name though?
I was
What
like,
if
well,
that
how
was
did you
his
know?
name?
I will never kiss
No,
him again.
but no, they don't brush their teeth at night. They only brush it in the morning.
Why?
I don't fucking know. And they were just like, oh, I thought that was like the normal thing. I'm like, no, the fuck it's not. Like,
That's nasty.
minimum 2 times a day.
Yeah, that's
If you can fit a third one in, that's great. But if you can't, then I understand you're out working. But minimum 2 times a day, bro.
Oh, that's nasty.
But I don't know. Everybody to each their
But
own, I guess.
guys, on average, don't give a fuck. I think what people, you have to have that kind of. It comes with. It's like a confidence or not caring about what people think. You kind of have to
Yeah.
not care about what people think because you got to be prepared to go
for
out there
sure.
and shit not hit. Cool, I'm gonna do the next one. Like for that to be
it's
a
also,
possibility.
I think also just like women get criticized way more in comedy than men do.
I'll take that too. That's
Yeah.
Like
probably-
a dude can like say a joke and it's like mediocre and it's like, oh, okay, that wasn't a good joke. But if a woman says a mediocre joke, it's immediately all women aren't funny. Women suck. Like they generalize an entire gender because they had one bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 1,000%. And you touch. I mean, what's funny too is you touch on some topics that like would be prone to those comments too, like the kids thing.
Absolutely.
They I saw a couple of your reels and your videos. You have a couple bits for sure about the kids.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Morgan is the reason we have a social security issue. Okay,
Why? Because I don't like kids, and I'm like, I'm not fucking having these kids.
Oh, you don't like kids?
No,
she's
I
about
hate
getting. She's getting her money. She's working on her career until a later age, and then maybe. Are you ever gonna have kids?
I mean, maybe. Like I never. I've never thought about it until I met my current boyfriend.
Oh,
Yeah. So like now I'm like, oh god.
it's
I'm like,
huge.
oh man, he'd make such fucking nice kids.
Yeah,
He'd be such a
okay.
great
That's
father.
good to know.
Yeah.
But it's like, fuck them little shits.
I'm like, dude, but my vagina's so tight right now. Like, I can't fuck it up. You know what I mean? Like, it's in pristine condition. It's in mint condition. I could
You
sell
like
it on
this shit?
eBay. Yeah, like, I can't fucking ruin that.
That's funny as fuck,
For
man.
a later time.
Just
in
like, what
life.
if you just schedule a C-section off of it? But then it's like, yeah, then you got.
Can you do that?
I'm
you think
sure.
I wonder if you can do that.
I'm sure.
You might be able to. I'm not quite sure, to be honest. I never really Googled that.
Yeah.
That's not something that's in my Google history.
That's so fucked up. You're
But-
like, you know what? I want to have a child, and I'm going to carry you for 9 months, but I'm not fucking pushing your ass out. You're getting carved up.
Hey,
dude.
That's funny.
that's equal.
Equal rights.
Equal rights.
Okay.
Fuck. But
You could always adopt. That's always an option too.
That's very true.
Kind of hit
that's
two
good
birds
to
with one
know, though,
stone.
Morgan. That's nice. That's sweet. That's cool.
I
Is that going to lose any intensity on those bits? Those
No,
bits are
fuck
great.
that. Fuck them
Honestly,
kids.
honestly, like, I don't think so. I mean, I think for me, it just fuels more material.
Yeah.
Because I can still talk about how I don't like kids, but how it's like now I'm like, oh shit, I kind of want kids, and it's just more material. You know?
Yeah, 1,000%. Like you kind of mentioned you have to write jokes because I was just thinking like some people like for creativity try to like seclude themselves and stuff like that, but I feel like for comedy it's like, how do you write anything without like experiencing shit? Like you have to find shit that people can relate to, like, and it's almost always that, like, Kevin Hart went crazy on his when he first went crazy, it was because he was relating to people at home and shit like that, right? Like so many people were like, like that's me, you know what I mean? And even with you, it's like for a lot of your bits, like it's you have to experience life. Like one of them where you were talking about, I just got my hair cut. I was supposed to cut 8 inches off, but it was a male salon person, so it was probably like 5.
Yeah,
and
dude knows
like,
my whole joke. Dude knows the punchline and everything.
I actually used it. No, I'm just
fucking joke stealer.
He's joking.
I'm just fucking with you.
God.
No, but like that's hilarious because you have to like go through life to like understand that shit. When you write, do you just write like the topic ish and then kind of work with it, or do you per se like write? Because I think everybody has a little.
It really depends. I mean, like I tried to be one of those people that would like sit down every day and write for 20 minutes, but it's so hard for me to like do that because some days I genuinely don't have anything to write about. You should write every day as a comic, but like I guess for me, like it comes in spurts. Like something will happen and I'll be like, oh fuck, that's like something that can work in this bit. Or like I recently within the last few months started doing material about my relationship because I was doing all this material. I had all this material about being single and guys and how dating's confusing and blah, blah, blah. And then I started dating my boyfriend last summer, and it was like, okay, I'm saying that I'm single on stage, but I'm clearly not. And it's okay to like lie a little bit. But like, I started being like, no, I don't like feel like saying that anymore. Like I want to joke about my boyfriend. And so I started writing stuff, and I kind of just sat down and wrote a little bit. And then I drew some inspiration from a headliner I saw who did like a whole hour about his girlfriend. And I was like, oh, okay, like he's doing these kinds of stories. Maybe I should find a story like that. And it kind of just like naturally comes together. Last week I was like, oh, I want to write all this stuff about my friend who is like suddenly now really religious. And I was like, oh, fuck, like I should write stuff about this. And so I wrote like a bunch of jokes. I started writing more. I started workshopping them. Like, so it kind of like depends on what's going on, Do you find it easier, like, so like on your relationship stuff, is it easier because you guys started dating? Okay. Like negative or positive relationship content? Like, oh, positive for sure, but like obviously, it's like
how he's
joke.
Helping you in something in a funny way, or
I basically just like I talk about how we're different in some ways, and like my opening joke is usually like I'm in a long distance relationship. I live in Orlando and he lives with his wife, and like obviously that's a lie, that's great. But it's like funny, and then and then I'm like, oh, I'm just kidding. He lives in Denver, but you know what I mean. So it's like little tiny blips of punchlines woven into like a story about dating my boyfriend.
That's fun. No, I just asked that because I was like, I can see like, let's just say if years down the line, what arguments, like I can't wait to see the bits you come up with. Oh, for sure, yeah. After some fucking arguments. There's so much
shit that I like need to write about and need to work out. I'm like sitting on so much material right now that I just need to like start workshopping. It's like... Yeah.
Just wait till you guys move in together.
Oh, God, yeah.
That's going to give you enough material that you'll be set for the rest of your career.
Whenever that happens, yeah.
Don't worry about that.
Interesting.
So, we could clip it, if anything, out. You're moving to Colorado?
Mm-hmm. So,
how is that? How is your train of thought with that? Like, as far as scheduling shows and stuff, do you already have like a...
Yeah, so... my boyfriend lives in Denver. I met him doing comedy in Denver. He's not a comic, don't worry.
He was like laughing so hard in the crowd.
If you're a comedian, don't ever fucking date a comedian. It's the worst decision you could ever possibly make.
Oh, is it really? Why is that?
It's just not. It's gross.
You guys are both like toxic with each other, making jokes back and forth.
From my experience, I don't think it's like beneficial to either party. But I will say one of my best friends has been dating a comic. She's a comic, and they've been dating for 3 years, and it's like wonderful and amazing. So whatever. But no, I met him in Denver, and I like I did some shows in Denver, and then I started meeting other people from doing festivals, and you know what I mean, like going back to Denver a few times to visit him. And so I do have some stuff scheduled there, but my goal right now is to kind of like move quietly and then get there and like just start grinding out like a new 15 minutes. Because I feel kind of stale in some of my material as of right now, but I've been doing a lot of shows, and sometimes I want to wait until I have a break almost to start working on new material, so that I'm not working on new material at shows.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It can't be too. So like what you're saying is you'd rather do like some of the open mics and stuff and work out.
Like I'd rather do some like smaller showcases, some bar shows, and just like kind of like test the waters with the stuff before I bring it on like a bigger stage.
Yeah, like if you're getting paid and there's like stakes to stuff, it's like, all right, I'm gonna use what works. I'm just gonna hit.
Exactly.
But then after you do that too much, that's a great point. You ever think about like how some of these big ass they do though? That's what Chappelle did.
Oh my god! Well,
they're
so talented, and they have worked for so many years that they have the skill set to do that. You know what I mean? Like there's so many big comics that like, you know, they'll do a show and they're doing a whole new hour. But that's just because that's like the caliber that they're at. Like they've been doing it, you know, 10, 15, 20 years. So they know their own voice. They know how to write their own jokes. They know how to like really work a crowd.
But then they like just do like they'll just pop into places and shit like that.
Yeah,
like,
it's fucking cool.
And it's like that is like that's awesome. Like, you know how excited I would be to be at an open mic and then Morgan pops up and I'm like, oh god, you know,
oh my god!
I'm just saying,
you're like the only person in Florida that feels that way.
Come on, no, you're very good. So
thank you.
I think like that's a cool thing. Anyways, is there any? Were you inspired by anybody to do comedy? Outside of the friends that were like kind of egging you on?
I mean, I think like yes and no, because like growing up, my dad and I always watched like Comedy Central together. But we were watching people like George Lopez and like Fluffy and like Carlos Mencia. And,
Fluffy
like,
was my fucking guy when I was a kid.
Yeah, like and I always liked stand up, but I don't think I really understood like what it was. And then ironically, when the pandemic hit, Taylor Tomlinson had just come out with her Netflix special, her first one. And it was like perfect timing for her because she blew up because the pandemic, everyone's home, everyone's watching Netflix. So I watched her special, I think, before I even decided or thought about going into stand up. So she was someone that I was like, oh, I love this. And she's kind of around my age.
Right.
So yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I also wanted to point out too, it's because we have like a trend on this podcast. I just want to confirm that you got started during COVID, right?
Yeah.
Is
that happening with a lot of people?
So pretty much like a lot of people that we have had on, like, you know, we've been doing it for 2 years, but a lot of people we've had on, a lot of people that have a lot of momentum going and are doing really good right now. A lot of them got started during COVID, and it's like a trend that we've seen. Like so many people made huge pivots.
Yeah.
What the fuck is up with COVID? Like,
bro, it's crazy.
World, COVID
well, if you guys
was
are
like
2 years into this podcast, you must have started.
We
during
started
COVID.
like so like
During
the
COVID.
idea started during COVID.
Yeah,
but like
execution was like as we were coming out of COVID.
Yeah, for sure.
I think what the pandemic did for so many people is it put life into perspective, and it made you think like, all right, if the world is going to end, am I happy where I am like right now? And if the answer is no, then you're like, I'm fucking out of here.
Word. And then you add in like the benefits people, because like we had to stay home, right? So some people got not benefits. I mean, there was some tragic shit that went down, but like also like you bought time.
Some people died.
No,
some people lost their jobs.
But like you lost your job, like you're probably getting some sort of check for a certain amount of time. Whatever the case, it was easier for that benefit to be able to pivot. You know, like there's some people that I heard that went to school during that time.
There's definitely a lot of privilege in like at least my situation, because I was still like I still had a job and I was working from home, so I was like in a position where I could go and like take a comedy class and like do that sort of thing. And Florida obviously was like, when it came to the pandemic, they were like, all right, after 3 months we're fucking sick of this shit, you know what I mean? So it's like there were places that were open and that were doing comedy, which is insane.
How was that? Like, so were you doing comedy like right before the lockdown?
No, so it like lockdown happened in March, and then maybe in like April or May is when I like started kind of thinking about stand-up. And then I signed up for the class, and the class ended in July. I remember that because it was like an 8-week thing. So I did my first open mic on like July 27th or something like that in 2020. So July is like my anniversary or
so
whatever.
Everybody's wearing masks and shit for sure.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was like so weird because I think even still at that time it was like surprising to see how people were acting. Were people going to the grocery store?
Yeah.
Because it had been a few months and it was this weird kind of like, okay, are we over it? Are we not? There's a new strand coming out. Like, and I did Zoom comedy shows, which were awful. I did like
that don't sound right.
Yeah, I did like comedy shows where people were like spread out. You know what I mean? I did shows where like they put the little condom on the mic for when you're up there, and you have to wear your mask inside, but take it off as soon as you get on stage. Like it was weird for sure.
But you were probably also in the best place to do comedy when you were like, "Fuck it, let's go."
So ironic,
especially July.
Well, and there were so many people that like came to Florida like from New York or from LA because they were like, I like miss comedy and like I haven't been on a mic in 6 months. Like Florida's open, I'm gonna go do a month there.
People were starving for like just interaction. They didn't care what the fuck was going on.
There's probably like a lot of big people that were popping into random places too.
Well,
I bet.
I know a couple. Like I listened to Flagrant too. Andrew Scholes and his guys or whatever. They were down in Miami that whole time.
Yeah,
and they were doing shows all around Miami that whole time.
Yeah, because it like I mean,
you got to get some work in. That's interesting. I do wonder the amount of people that came here to do, but it's crazy coincidence. You know, like that's that's I don't know. It's almost perfect too because you could almost say like factor in like getting different people from different areas because of that time was like beneficial. You know, like getting the crowds that you were getting is probably not the same crowd at that place.
Yeah,
you know?
it was wild. That's for sure.
Shit. So, I want to talk about another thing. Fight About It. Let's Fight About It podcast.
Yes.
Which you guys should check out. It's super cool. I was interested in like the creative process or perspective you had on the podcast. Like I didn't know that you were kind of like you kind of generated the idea of it or whatever, which is really super cool. You picked perfect people to kind of participate. Like that was awesome.
Yeah.
So you were saying that maybe there's going to be some changes to that podcast because those that don't know, it's you arguing with what's his name?
Donald,
and then
Austin was the moderator. Yeah,
he's the moderator. He's bringing up the topics. They argue about it. You know, like it's great. It's perfect.
Yeah. So Let's Fight About It is a podcast that is all about fighting over stupid shit. Yeah. And I didn't want to create just like another comedy podcast. There's a lot of like comedy podcasts out there. But I wanted to create something that was more of like a game show. So yeah, I had the idea a while ago, and I had my friend do some design work for it. And then I kind of started like trying to figure out, all right, do I want to like do it myself? Do I want to have a co-host? I ended up moving to Orlando, and like Donald was a good friend of mine, and I was like, all right, like he wants to be a part of it. Like let's bring him in, and he knew Austin, so he brought him in, and it's really cool because the first season is actually like I got to be the fighter the whole time, which that wasn't my original idea, but I'm glad that I got to do it because now I get the perspective. So we did like 18 episodes. There were 2 bonus episodes that were just released through the end of the season. But the second season I'm like really excited for because I'm taking over the role of moderator, and then I'm going to be bringing in 2 guest comics every week to fight over stupid shit. And I think it'll be really cool because like I think there's so many cool comics out there and so many funny comics that like I want to be able to like bring them into a space to talk about something that maybe they haven't talked about, and it might generate material for people. You know what I mean? Like arguing over like an amusement park for 30 minutes, you know what I mean? Like you might be able to write a joke out of that. So yeah, season 2 is going to be coming soon. I'm just working on like getting everything kind of produced and put together before I release it, but I'm really excited about it.
That's also kind of cool too because you can also be bringing exposure to up and coming
right comedians. Yeah, so well, and it's cool. Beneficial for everyone. I mean, I think that's what like comedy, that's why I love comedy so much, is it's like we all kind of benefit from all of us doing well. It's not as much of a competition as people think it is.
Yeah.
If comedy is doing well in general, then all of us are doing well.
And it's awesome that you said that, because we talked how you just came fresh from Austin, right? And I've heard a lot of stories about the mothership and stuff like that Joe Rogan's got going on or whatever. I
don't even know what that is. What exactly is that?
It's a comedy club that he pretty much built and put together or whatever. So
and where's that based out of?
So
Austin.
It's in Austin.
So he was in LA and he was doing a lot for the Comedy Store or whatever. The Comedy Store is iconic, whatever. That's in LA or whatever. And then he during COVID, he moved to Austin. And or after COVID, I think he got fed up with some shit, moved to Austin, whatever the case is, and then
Joe Rogan living in LA is a funny picture in my head, but okay.
Now he's always been in LA.
Yeah.
So now he's in Austin and he started in this mothership or whatever. The reason why I bring that up is because I keep hearing these stories now, more recently, about how this motherfucker does not care about making money at that place. Like, it's all going into the show, and if not, like, apparently he's paying comics like outrageous amount of money compared to like relative like shows.
Which honestly,
and stuff like that.
I mean, good for him, because like he knows he's at that level where like he has probably experienced every level of comedy and how it's kind of shit pay from the ground up, unless like until you're that comic that like your special's blowing up, all of a sudden you're booking tours, you're doing theaters, you're doing appearances, you're getting roles. Like, it's not really lucrative until you get kind of to like the skyscraper level of top comedy. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's money at that point,
right? Yeah.
What would you describe as shit pay, like as a relative range? Because
I mean, like there's a lot of clubs they'll have you host. Right, when you host, you have to go up to a cold room. You do sometimes 5, 10, 15 minutes of your own jokes, and then you do a lot of announcements. And then the rest of the show, you're responsible for keeping the show going, which means you're bringing up the feature, you're bringing up the headliner. You have to make sure their intros are right. You have to make sure you're announcing the drink specials. You have to make sure that if, something's going to happen in the crowd, that you have to kind of help out and make sure, okay, this person's heckling, I'm going to go at security. You're kind of like the show runner, which is crazy. And a lot of the times, like, there are comedy clubs who either won't pay their hosts, or they'll pay you $25 or they'll pay you $50. And that's kind of like the base
an hour?
range. No, just for the whole thing. And that's kind of like the base range. And it's, from my experience and from what I've heard from a lot of more veteran comedians, is that's the way it's always been since the 80s. That's the money. So the money has not changed, even though comedy has changed. And then, as a feature, you're getting like $75, which honestly is not even like the standard. Like, that's below standard. And then headliners, I don't have as much experience because I haven't headlined. I've headlined like a smaller show and made like $100.
Really?
Sometimes headliners like are making like $300, which still, I mean, for an hour of comedy.
That's right. Okay, I see what you're saying. So is it literally that until you blow up, kind of thing?
I mean, I can't speak for everyone, so I don't know. I've done a lot of shows where it's like that. I've done some shows where they're much more. They give you like that pay, but they also give you like free food, free drink. Maybe they give you like maybe the headliner will throw you a few dollars off of their check. But I don't really know how much people are making when they're like touring. Like, it's so over my head.
Oh yeah.
It's definitely got to be like a percentage of like ticket sales.
But I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see like what your next steps are, because I do think like
Same.
It's just like,
let's see. No, I'm just so like, because all right, there's that, right? But then I also wonder, like, because, and it's another thing I want to talk about too, but like because of your background and stuff, you've integrated a certain thing where you're building a following at a different rate than other comics who might be as good as you in a room or whatever the case is, like with social media, clipping stuff, putting stuff out there, engaging, like doing that whole thing. Like, you're on the podcast because I was on your YouTube, right?
Right, yeah.
And then I found out about the Let's Fight About It and stuff like that, but it's also like, that is what, if you're not doing that, like, you're going to live in that, there's a good chance you'll live in that area for a long time. But then those that can bring, because, I mean, if you can guarantee bringing 40 people to a club or something a night. You know, like that's a good middle range. You know what I mean? That like I would love. I can't wait. You know, like I wonder if that is something that we don't hear about much. You know, because you do know, like,
social media has definitely changed the game, which is, I think, like a good and a bad thing, because it's annoying that now bookers and people who obviously like produce comedy clubs or comedy shows, like they are looking at your following, and it's kind of shitty because there are so many amazing comedians who don't have a big following on social media, and it's mostly just because like they're not posting clips, or they don't know how to, or maybe they're just not interested in posting clips. And it's like, it used to just be that you have to be funny, right? And now it's like you have to be funny, but you also have to have a following. You also have to be able to put butts in seats, and you also have to like be present. You know what I mean? Which again is like annoying, because it's like there are so many great people that don't have that following to no fault of their own. It's just that the way that, you know, social media works and the algorithm works, it's like the more you post, the more that the algorithm favors you. So if you're posting one clip a month, you know what I mean, you're not going to go anywhere, which sucks.
Yeah. And even if you do post fucking 3 clips a week, sometimes that shit don't go nowhere.
That's not a little personal.
It is. No, I'm just no, but yeah, that's true. And it's almost like these days, which is sad, is like you almost need, if you're not good at those other things, you need management or something, but you're not getting management if you're not, you know, and you almost need that type of push to get you to that next step or whatever.
It's a lot.
That's why it's really cool, because we were just talking about the podcast and how that could filter creativity and different people, whatever the case is. I can't wait for that look. That's going to be a cool look for you being the mediator or whatever. But also moderator. It's also a mediator. It's a Fight About It podcast.
Well, let's fight about it.
Yeah, maybe we should do it right now.
Moderator or mediator?
But you went to school for what?
Strategic communication, which is basically an umbrella term for like PR, marketing, and advertising.
Oh, really? I thought it was like a debate thing.
No, it's weird. Like I got my degree. It's technically like, it's called strategic communication. It's a Bachelor of Science, and then I have like
it's a science.
Yeah, and then I have a focus in public relations. But I still took like marketing and advertising. You know what I mean? And I actually took a social media course. So it's like it's basically like a branding master like class. Like it's just the entire 4 years is just like learning how to manage a brand and like market a brand and all that kind of stuff.
I love that shit, because it's also like, you know how many people just kind of fall into that degree kind of thing?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I like that, but it's like, you don't think you're not good. You know, I don't know. Like, you got to be a type of person to take advantage of that type of degree.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? And it's like so many people that go for that, and then it's like a total waste. It's so cool how you did that, and then it's like, I'm gonna be a comedian. But it's like, look how I use that in that space, that world, podcasting, whatever the case is. And it's like, fuck. Like, we just talked about these days, up-and-coming comics need a manager. It's like, you kind of did the foundation on a lot of things before you started to do what you're doing.
I guess I'd never really, like... I didn't start branding myself as a comic until I was probably like a year in, because then I felt comfortable enough to like change my Instagram, you know, to like comedian, and like represent myself as a comedian, and like really focus on like, no, this account is like a comedy account. This isn't like a personal, like, here's a picture of the beach shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun.
Do you have a personal account?
No, it's all just my fucking... It's funny because people ask me that. They're like, do you have a burner account? And I'm like, no. And they're like, so you just like are on social media as yourself on your official account? And I'm like, yeah, why not? Like, I don't think of it as that big of a deal. But then I remember that there are people who like are creepy, or who are like gonna... I actually am in a situation right now where I have several fan pages that have been made of me on Facebook. And then there's a group, like someone made a Facebook group that has like 1,500
what you don't know is
members in it. No, I don't know who made it, but it's a public group. It's this motherfucker.
We get along in there. You should check out.
Well, it's so annoying because it's like, so someone created like a fan page, like a Facebook page that you can like, right? And I used to have one of those, but I got rid of it because it was too confusing to have my fan page and like a personal
That's
profile.
a lot of work.
And now on Facebook, people can follow you on your profile without friending you, which is great because I'm not going to be friends with people that I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, so I found out that someone like created, and that one of the fan pages has like 33,000 likes on it. But it's because they're posting all of the shit I post like in succession. And so people think it's me, and it has like my profile picture. It has like my cover photo.
I think you can actually contact Facebook and maybe take over that account.
I have so many times. Like I've reported it. I've called it spam. I've said that it's impersonating.
You might be able to take over that account. You can just say that they hacked your account.
I know, it's wild.
So that has been the best argument I've heard for the new blue check shit.
Oh my God, I fucking hate this shit. I
know.
could go on about this verification bullshit. There's no reason that Tanner from fucking Ocala needs to have a verification check with 500 followers.
Leave
I'm sorry.
Tanner alone.
I can't deal with it.
You know, it's funny. I really thought Tanner was somebody big, and I'm like, who the fuck is Tanner?
No, but
It's literally just
I
any
agree with you.
motherfucker that has an extra $15 a month in their pocket can pay to be verified, and it annoys the crap.
I was
out of
saying this, like, that's what I was saying the other day. I saw somebody like dragging, was like, oh, anybody who uses it is stupid. I was like, personal, yeah, but if you're doing like on a business side of things, or you're like a content creator and that's really trying to push it or do something like that,
but it was
I can understand the value, and the reason why is because I know a lot of people that just follow just because they see the blue one, the blue check, which that might not be the case anymore. It might be it might be the death of you now, because a lot of people feel so much hatred towards it, they might just unfollow you because
I feel
of
like
it.
what's gonna happen is like, because the verification is basically a indication that you are who you say you are online, right? Because you have to submit like a photo ID, you have to submit like identification.
Right.
So it's a great way to fight against like bots and like shitty accounts. But I think at some point, like everyone's going to be verified, and there's not going to be a way to know like who. Well, I guess that's a lie, because I was going to say like the people that are verified are people who are like have so many followers that they need to be verified so that people know it's them.
Yeah.
I think what's eventually going to come, which I mean is not set in stone or anything, but this is like kind of like my speculation. I think we're going to have the original blue check that everybody's paying for.
They're going to have tiers.
I think they're going to have tiers. And I think they're going to have another one, because LeBron made a tweet or a post or whatever and said, if they think I'm paying $5 a month for a blue check, they got me fucked up. I ain't paying. He said he ain't paying $5 a month. So he said he's going to lose his blue check because he ain't paying monthly for it. How are they just going to let LeBron lose his blue check?
Is that like how it's working? Because I was wondering that. Like, if people have had a blue check mark for years, are they all of a sudden going to start charging them for it?
I believe the blue check is like $15 to the average person, but he said $5 in his post. So I don't know if he just messed up and meant 15, or maybe if you already had one, now you have to pay $5 to keep it.
That's wild. You're going to charge LeBron James $5 a month to keep his blue check mark?
That's what I was saying.
He could buy 1 million blue check marks, but like it's still the principle of the thing. I think is so stupid.
I think that's what he was getting at, but I think we're eventually going to see maybe people who are already approved for it. There might be like another tier. We might see like a gold check instead of a blue check.
Yeah. You're right.
Or some shit. I think it's gonna become some new thing.
There has been, because like it's definitely not what it was anymore.
Yeah,
right? And everybody
it's like
knows that.
It's not cool to be verified anymore.
No.
But did you see how much money they made?
Who's they? Are you talking about like Meta? Are you talking about Twitter?
Sure.
So
Meta.
the
Meta's
first
charging a lot.
The first, they said like I think it was like the first week or first month or whatever. I think it was like first week or whatever. They had like 44 million people pay.
Oof.
God, that's so embarrassing.
I don't have my phone, but that math is high.
This is how I feel right now. Okay?
That's 660.
I feel like if I pay for a blue check mark, even though there's people impersonating me, and even though there's people that are like taking advantage of my name or whatever, like I feel like all it's going to do is it's going to tell my followers that I'm paying $15 a month to be verified. And I think that's like so embarrassing. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, like that is a great debate, because it's also like, because what you said, that's why I mentioned it, is that's the best argument I've heard for getting a blue check. Because I've seen a bunch of people, please report this page, please report this page, please report this page.
Or get hacked.
Where like the blue check helps them. So it's almost like if they almost should have done it like at the same time, like increment the tiers with the pay $5 to be verified. But the fact that they didn't, it's becoming such a thing where like it would, because if they had all these tiers, maybe you don't feel that way, right? Like maybe you go, cool, I'll pay that amount so they know it's just me.
I don't want to be verified because I'm paying to be verified. I want to be verified because I'm worthy of it.
Yeah. No,
and like it's so funny because I was talking to my friend about this, like, because there's a lot of like open mic comics. If you're an open mic comic, that's amazing. Keep doing open mics. But if you're just an open mic comic and you have a blue check, go fuck yourself. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you don't need people to know who you are because like I guess I just don't understand it. I know that there's an argument to be made about like identity theft and whatever, but I'm like,
that's the only one though.
I just don't. And like
the argument, I feel like the argument used to be there for like people would just follow because you had a blue check. Which there was actually like a study that was done and said like 70% or something like that. I think it was like 67 to be honest, would follow people just because they had it. But now that you can pay for it, does that take away that credibility now?
Right.
The other thing is, like, this is more of a thing among creators than it is anywhere else. And like the things are said, like, you know, like people regurgitate what they hear. This is a hot topic or whatever. Yeah. But nobody really understands like those that are like with your, like what we're just saying, where we're like, this is kind of weird, like you're just paying money, like it's not real, you didn't earn it or whatever.
Yeah.
Nobody gets, like, the casual person does not understand that. Like that's something I've realized. Like there's a lot of people that support us that won't like our shit and they don't even know. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it's like that helps us, like support us, like we use that to leverage other things. You know what I mean? But it's like they don't get that. So like that same person that doesn't understand that doesn't understand, oh, this person paid $5 or whatever for a blue check.
Like,
they just follow.
It's actually 15
or 15.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's a lot of money. That's more than like Spotify. That's more than, you know what I mean? Like that's a lot of money.
That's what I was getting at. Because
did Twitter do it first? Because you mentioned Twitter.
Twitter, when Elon, our Lord and Savior, took over Twitter, it was like you have to pay $8, I think.
Oh,
and
really?
if you pay $8 a month, you can be verified. And it was like anyone could be verified.
Oh, I didn't even know Twitter did it.
So I just want to say, like, because he is.
I didn't even know that Twitter did it.
Yeah,
they did it first.
Twitter did it first, and then I think he I can't remember what happened. I think he took it away because so many people were like, "This is stupid."
Yeah.
But now it's happening again.
But
he was the one that mentioned tears too.
Oh, I didn't know.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He like that's why he is a fucking, like, I respect the guy. He is our Lord and Savior, by the way. But he did it first. Probably we didn't hear about all the money he made from it. We're gonna hear about it with Meta or whatever the case is.
Man,
but still, it's like, I mean, I don't know. Like
44 million people signed up for the first month. That's what
that
is
so
15.
Sad.
That would be like 660 million, right? If I think I did that math right. 660 million a month. A fucking month, bro.
Isn't that so funny that like we are so deduced down to a little tiny symbol that we're so like we have to have it, that we're willing to pay money to have it.
So a lot of people live social media though, man.
But
like it's crazy.
Here's the other thing. We have, so like older people feel that 10 times. We have a different perspective because we totally understand, like our generation, I'm saying. Like older people, they said that when it started, but we're also telling them, hey, dumbass, I'm making money off.
Right, for
this
sure.
shit.
Yeah, we're in that weird in between.
But we also can understand where it's like, motherfucker, you're paying for a blue check. Like like the nuances are clear to us.
I refuse to pay for it.
But the younger generation does not, like, I'm telling you, like a lot of the stupid shit we're gonna see or we see is the younger generation not really giving a fuck. Like literally there's people that are like, oh, you're like, I won't even follow you unless you got something like that. You know what I mean? Which it's like, fuck you. If the content doesn't speak for itself, then whatever. But like the fact that people can capitalize off people like that, it's gonna happen. We're gonna see that times 10 because you could take advantage of people like that. You know? I don't know.
It's weird.
Watch this. Like by the time this episode drops, Morgan's gonna have a blue check and shit.
The thing is, like, it's like I am such a small like blip in the world of like creators, let alone like comedians. Like, like I can't imagine what it's like to have like 500,000 followers and still be like, fuck, I'm not verified, but like I don't want to pay for it. No. You know what I mean? Like, that's so shitty. Like, and there, it used to be. because I tried to get verified on Instagram and they didn't fucking approve it. And it's like you have to submit like obviously your photo ID, your name, whatever document, and then you also have to submit like a third party publication that has written about you so that they know that you're of notoriety. You know what I mean?
I think I did our stuff wrong because I tried submitting like for verification for the podcast in the past, but I found out I saw somebody talking about, I don't know if it's actually true or not, but they were saying that you have to have like a picture of you as like your what's the fucking thing called, your profile
your
picture.
profile picture.
Yeah, whatever.
Sense.
You have to have a picture of you. Cause I tried doing it for the podcast, and I'm like, okay, what the fuck do I put there? Like, you know.
Also, weird learning. Like I never had a social media period. Like that's why I asked if you have a personal one, because I wondered if like you have that urge. But like I never had a social media period until we did the podcast. Yeah. And then like,
oh really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He did not do social media. Nothing.
Wow.
So I learned everything the past couple years. But like also like I learned a lot. Like Zach has had to text me like, bro, that guy's fake as fuck.
He's
like 500,000 followers, but like like
oh my god,
there's
like,
the likes.
He's learning about paid followers. He's learning about bots.
Yo, I'm like,
he's got scammed a couple
You're
times.
like, damn, this girl doesn't want to fuck me.
No, it was
she
more
says
like
that she's ready in my DMs.
Meet hot locals nearby.
Yeah.
No, shout out to the bots though. The sex bots are liking all my stories. I love that shit.
Christ.
Support. No, but it was mainly about like going through the tiers of bullshit on social media. Like, all right, fake followers. All right, no likes. All right, that's fake.
Yeah, and
but
he was comparing himself.
Fake followers, fake likes, fake this, and then it's like there's layers, and then sometimes we don't. Anyways, like I can see. Like that's where it's weird because we had somebody on the podcast who got a blue check, only has like 2,000 followers, but because they're a D1 football player,
right? That makes sense
because they could get that that check mark is easier for them, the notoriety shit or whatever.
Well, and they're like they have stuff to back it up. Like they're D1, people are probably writing about them. They're probably televised. You know what I mean? Like that makes sense.
So I feel bad for those people in my mind because it's like, now I look like these motherfuckers just because I didn't have a big following, but I'm doing good shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's annoying because it's like the blue check mark like takes your social media to like another level, but now I think of it as like, oh, you're not really like, do you know what I mean? Like, because there are the people that have had the blue check mark for years, and it's like, okay, I know that you're legit, but then there are people who I see and I'm like, oh god, like why do you think that you need this?
I'm happy we started this when we started this, because if I got on social media while this shit was going on, I would think we had a famous person every fucking week. You know what I mean? Like, I would have been like, yo, you have no idea how many blue checks I got coming on the podcast. Blue checks on deck, guys. Like, we're fucking...
It's annoying that it's the same across every platform, too. I just realized that. Like,
all blue checks.
TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, they're all blue checks. That none of them are like their own thing. Yeah. Like there's not like a symbol for TikTok or a symbol for Facebook.
I think we're gonna start seeing a lot of that change. I really think we're gonna start seeing the whole tiers thing come play. But they're not gonna launch the blue checks and launch tiers at the same time, because if the real people have gold checks and the people who paid have blue checks,
they're gonna get the money for it.
Not as many people are gonna pay for it. They're gonna be like, I'm not gonna pay for it. I want a gold check. But now if everybody has it, they might let it run for a couple months, make a couple $1 billion off of it.
My goal is like, I want to become so famous that one day they just have to give me a fucking blue check. Like, I will wait 10 years. I don't give a shit. I'll wait 20 years.
Well, shit, man. Like, once you get your way up there, JP was telling us that he has like his own personal like representative he calls for like YouTube and TikTok and shit. Like, he has like he has like a direct he has like a direct line. Just call.
She's saying she wants them to be like, oh, we gotta give this bitch a fucking blue check.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like I want to get to the point where like there's no other option. Like they have to give it to me because I just like
Dave Chappelle's level.
I'm with you.
yeah. If I could ever get there, as if
I'm with you.
Hey, you never know. You never know. She's like, shit.
It's funny how relativity works though, because it's like you're doing exactly what you wanted to do, and then like you can't help but to think about the shit you should be doing, and like where that next step is. Yeah. Fuck, man. Like the next, if you think about like where you started to where you are, if you could do that same thing in the same amount of time, if anything, half of that, it's like, where is that? And then, fuck, that's gonna be so cool. We're so proud of you.
Thanks, Dad.
That was wholesome.
I'm so proud of you, Morgan.
Yeah, well, that was like weirdly wholesome for a guy wearing sweatpants and Crocs.
This guy wears Crocs on the daily.
Damn, dude.
What's wrong with Crocs?
Can that camera pick up your Crocs?
What's wrong with Crocs? There's nothing wrong with Crocs.
Crocs and blue moons.
With socks. Crocs with
And
socks.
blue moons.
You lived in Florida. You know that's how we get down. Crocs and socks.
Crocs give me acid reflux. I can't do it. I can't.
What's an appropriate casual shoe? Just like dirty Vans or something like that? Is that what you like?
Casual shoes? Why do they have to be dirty Vans?
Because
Why can't they
I
just
don't
be
understand
Vans?
any other casual shoe than like the guy that wears
Yeah,
dirty
I guess like Vans
Converse.
or Converse or like I'm not. My boyfriend owns Crocs, and I'm planning on like throwing them out. Behind his back.
All you gotta do is leave them outside; they'll shrink.
Fucking nasty. Oh yeah, in the sun, that shit's gross.
Leave him alone.
Like I get
he
that
needs
they're-
to wear his
I know what's
twats.
a Birkenstocks. That's like the.
That's like rich people shit though. No?
Not really.
I don't really know how much they cost, but I heard Birkin's expensive.
That's a Birkin bag, yeah, but Birkenstocks, not really.
I don't know.
You can get off-brand ones. You don't have to get Birkenstock, but like they're like the equivalent. They're like the nicer, more high-class version of Crocs because they're like a shoe that you put on to go outside, but nothing else.
They're just biting the cool shit. Crocs is the best thing ever.
You know, it's
Leave
crazy.
your man alone.
I wore
He's a
Crocs.
great dude.
I wore Crocs back in
Crocs.
high school, and everybody used to flame me for it.
Yeah, of course.
And I was like, "Oh, okay." Now everybody's wearing that flame. You're like, "You motherfuckers!"
It's so dumb how like fashion comes in. And,
Yeah.
like you could like dye your pubic hair purple. And people would be like, yo, that's fucking whack. And then in 10 years from now, they're like, yo, you have natural colored pubic hair, dog? That sucks. Like, it's so dumb.
Yeah, that's so true. I used to wear them 'cause I used to go fishing, and they were like the best shoes for fishing. They get wet, don't fucking matter. If I want to walk in the water that's nasty as fuck, I at least got some type of shoe protection. I step on something. But then you would have like the fucking Croc fucking tan lines, which is like the worst.
Ew, gross, yeah. It makes your foot look like a pizza. It's so nasty.
That's a weird comparison, but okay,
It makes it easier when you eat the toes.
Doesn't it? 'Cause it's like white, and then the tan lines,
Yeah,
it's like
like
little circles.
peppers.
Like, yeah, that's what it looks like.
That's funny. I
I'm
didn't
gonna
think
start
that-
telling my girl that. Be like, eat that pizza, girl.
eat that.
You didn't like that.
Damn, you're just shoving your foot raw into
No,
your...
I don't like that shit. But I was part of.
I'm just letting him like process on his own.
I
Yeah,
can't
do
wait to hear like some of the content you come up with later in your relationship and shit. Because I can't help when I was like thinking about doing it for months before or whatever. I couldn't help but to talk about shit in my relationship.
Oh, of course,
or
yeah,
whatever.
because it's your life.
Yeah, but it was all negative.
Oh, that's good.
Like I was.
That's crazy because you're the
venting.
first dude to ever get on stage and talk negatively about his girlfriend. That's
No,
wild.
that's not true. That's not what I did. It was main.
Oh, wrong one. Wait, which one was it? There you go.
Man, I got a sound effect.
No,
45 minutes into the
it
podcast, I
wasn't
finally got one.
negative. It was more like trying more like because of certain tension. Like if you're a man and you've been with a girl for 8 or 9 years, you've been through so much like how do you call it, like distractions. Like there's, you know, you can't help it, you're a guy. If you think that you see girls and stuff like that and you don't think they're hot, or you've been, you know, like guys think about girls all the time. Guys are dogs.
How do we get to this point? I'm so confused.
No, but
I don't know. I'm just here for the ride.
Okay, cool. Go ahead, Cruz. Take it. So
No.
guys see girls, you can't help but think about it.
No, but what I meant was I open up with like talking about like thinking about swinging and shit like that, like, you know, like because guys can relate to like wanting, if you're in a long-term relationship or something, like thinking about trying other situations.
Is that all dudes think about that?
Yeah, like 1,000% your man has thought about other girls since you've been together.
I can't wait to tell him that. I can't wait for.
I love
can't wait
him.
for
He's
him
a
to.
crocker.
I can't wait for him to be like, "Yo, why the fuck did you do that podcast?" He's gonna be like, "That dude's whack."
No, 1,000%. Well, we both.
I don't think that's true. I don't think you can speak for all men.
No, I can. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. That's probably. I don't know. I would argue that.
To like what degree though? Like you say, like imagine.
How long have you been? You're married.
No, this is a promise.
You
ring.
just
No,
have a.
no.
Oh,
Yeah.
gay. Okay,
Yeah, I know.
So you're. I'm just.
He's
kidding.
also gay.
So you're. How long have you been with your what? Your fucking. What's it called?
My promise girl?
Girlfriend. Yeah. So your promise girl.
We actually just hit 5 years.
Have you thought about being with other women?
No, not like that. Like I wouldn't say like that.
But we
Well,
also
like,
established he was
you
gay
can-
before
you
he
can-
answered that question.
I think there's a difference between like being out in public and being like, oh, yo, like that girl's hot.
Yeah, like I've looked at girls and been like, oh, that she has a nice ass.
Right, and then genuinely thinking about being with that other girl.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Have you guys ever seen what was it with Owen Wilson and the other guy?
Wedding Crashers?
The Break or something. What is it? Fuck, where they have Hall Pass. Have you ever seen Hall Pass?
I feel like I have like a very long time ago.
So like those guys, like they were like 40-year-old men, kids, family, everything, but they just couldn't get over how whatever their situation was when they were in college, getting all these girls or whatever. And like every chance they got, they would be like, oh, I would take those titties into the... So like it was the extreme version of what I'm talking about, obviously. But it was pointing out a common theme with guys, and I know guys, like I've been in warehouses, I've worked in offices, I've worked in places.
I like how that's like your baseline. I know guys, I've been in warehouses, dog.
Warehouses? Like, no, I've been in all environments, and I tell you what, 10 times out of 10, if there's 3 guys standing around and a girl walks by, there's something said. And that is what I'm talking about, where like times 10, that's what guys are okay with speaking of like casually. Imagine what's going on in their head. You know what I'm saying? Guys masturbate to the weirdest shit. Check your... No, never mind. He's really good. Don't look at porn histories.
I regret telling them that I had a boyfriend.
I'm so happy.
I regret telling them that. I should have said I had a girlfriend.
Oh, don't give Cruz that.
Yo, we did. That was hour and 10. That was a great fucking episode.
I don't know how we got to that last point, but okay, that's cool.
No, I thought it was
I think I'm going to go home with a whole new fucking perspective on life.
You're going to be like, hey, babe.
You're going to walk in the door and be like, sit the fuck down.
I'm going to start an argument tonight. You guys have given me the fuel to cause fire in my relationship, and I thank you for that.
Damn, I'm sorry, buddy. Cruz.
That's what perspective does. Yo, thank you so much, Morgan, for coming on the podcast. This was super fun. This was amazing. I didn't even say thank you, everybody who tunes in weekly. We love you guys. Make sure you subscribe or like or follow whatever platform you're on.
As always, her stuff's going to be in the description below, so go ahead and check her stuff out.
Click that button and then see what goes down, and then there's going to be some stuff down
Okay,
there.
Cruz.
Dude's fingering the air next to him.
Like,
I'm actually fingering, like, I'm just... Never mind.
Anywho, thank you guys.
Paco, watch out.
Paco, watch out.